Somebody got a clapper that, action take one. There you go. Inner light interview, take one.
Now don't get red light-itis, Mom.
I just did it for the chicks. I just wanted to meet girls.
Yeah, the first gig that I remember playing, because now Mike came to you, Mom, for guitar lessons, because that's where, he was from clear out 13 miles away, the farm, and he came to the big city for guitar lessons, and JD and I met Mike, and then we did the first gig I remember us doing was the Miranda, what was it, the Legion Hall. And we borrowed.
I don't know what the occasion was.
I don't know but we borrowed gear from Denny Bierman. Dick Bierman, there we go, yeah. Because he had guitars and drums.
You had a snare, a hi-hat, a bass drum.
Right.
And a seat. That's all the drums that you had.
Now, did I have the Roy Rogers drum set before that? Yeah, no.
No, that was a snare, a hi-hat, bass drum.
Right.
And a seat. That's all the drums that you had.
Now, did I have the Roy Rogers drum set before that? Yeah, no.
No, that was the Pleasants. That was when they went to Aberdeen and got all the equipment.
No, because when we got the stuff in Aberdeen, that was when we got the Sparkle drum set. Because you guys got me the it had Roy Rogers and Trigger, and it was the Prairie.
No, it was just the Rogers, and we called it the Roy.
No.
Roy, and we called it the Roy Rogers.
No.
Had nothing to do with horses and stuff on it. Nothing.
It had a light on the inside of it. It had a light bulb.
It did have an inner light?
Yeah.
It actually.
Wait, that's where that came from.
It had an inner light because we had that. We had that drum set. And Mom always played. She played with Pete Mosier, played polkas, and we were over, and we had my big. This thing had a drum set that the bass drum on it was big enough you could live in it. And
my grandpa played the fiddle, my mama plays guitar. I learned to play the drums with butter knives on mayonnaise jars. My brother learned some Beatles songs and he taught them to me. I said, it's only rock and roll, but it's alright with me. I finally got a drum set from a polka band. My brother turned that Gibson up and we began to jam. In a one-room schoolhouse 11 miles from town, we practiced 3 hours a night to get the music down. My mama said, you boys make sure the music's from the heart, 'cause if that ain't where it comes from, there ain't no need to start. We were too young to be in bars, you understand, so Mama used to drive the band. Mama used to drive the band. Mama used to drive the band to those Legion halls, sweetheart balls, and them small town one-night stands. She always said we played too loud, but you could tell that she was proud. Mama used to drive the band. Here come the guitar.
it had a snare drum and a cowbell. And I came home from school one day, and JD was here with Frank Fluchini. And Frank Fluchini had that cowbell, and he was riding that thing like a cymbal. And it was like, jump, 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 jump. And I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. And so we started messing around with playing a little bit then. And then we met Mike, and we're like, okay, hey, this could really work. And that's when we were living, we had the trailer back over by Pratt's. And so then right across the block was Chuck Benson.
Benson came in.
Yep.
What did Chuck play?
Chuck played keyboards. We went over to audition him, and he played. I can't even remember something. Da 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 da.
Love story.
Da 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 da. We said, "Hey man, if you can play that, you know, cool."
Start again. Jerry. Try that. Mic check. Try that. Testing 1, 2. Start again. Jerry. Try that. Mic check.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 37 years in the making. And we've got a couple of guys up here that gave up their birthday to come and play music for you. So how about if we sing happy birthday to Mike Stevens and Don Rush? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mike and Don and Don and Mike and Mike and Don and Don and Mike and Mike. And happy birthday to you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, the Inner Light Reunion.
Yeah, it is recording. Let me see if it'll stop. And you know what? The
Can you zoom
image
in?
is upright.
Yeah,
Okay, let me
can
try
you zoom
zooming.
in? Yep, it's zooming.
I can. Okay, back out. So the darn thing does work.
Woohoo!
Okay, you're recording.
Alrighty. Hello everybody, my name is Michael Stevens. I was the lead guitar player and lead singer for the Inner Light for the 4 years we were together from, let's see, I believe it was 69 through 71. And I got my good buddy Rich Cunningham that was attended quite a few of our gala events, as it were, you know, and helping me out with this interview and everything, and I really appreciate it, Rich.
You're welcome.
Anyway, we'll just kind of roll on and let's see. I was born and raised in. Give a little background of myself, and then that way I can get to the Inner Light part. I was born and raised about 10 miles, I guess. I'm not even sure which direction from Faulkton, but 10 miles from Faulkton anyway, on a farm, and the oldest of 10 kids, and got 6 sisters, 3 brothers, and a mother, and my father has passed away 3 years back, but he's in heaven now, and so we're good to go. Anyway, I just wanted to say the way that we met as a band, or how I actually got started with the Inner Light, was I remember seeing Roy in his Southern Rebel hat, or whatever it was, a Confederate hat, I guess is what they call it. And he was wandering around the football game one time there in Faulkton, and I don't know what the attraction was, it was something about that hat that made me want to go to him and say, you know, meet him, you know, just kind of go and meet him and stuff like that. So I walked up to him and I said, hey, what's your name, you know, and he said, Roy Holder. He got that Southern accent thing going on, pretty rich at that time. And I said, well, Roy, my name's Mike Stevens, and we just kind of kicked it off from there. He was quite young. I was a freshman, and he was I'm thinking probably, he's 4 years younger than me, I believe. So he would have been about probably 9, 10, somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah,
Something
all right.
like that. Yeah, and I believe, so we sort of kicked it off, and then he asked me if I wanted to go to his place and, you know, check out. They had a real big trampoline that was really fun to play on. We'd bounce on that thing for hours and hours, had such a good time. And, well, in the process of doing that, I met his older brother, J.D. Holdren, and their mom and dad, of course, and everything. And we just, one day, I believe it was Mrs. Holdren that asked if well, I told him that I had just bought a guitar and that I was trying to play it and everything like that. And I didn't have an amp, but I had a guitar, I think. And so we went and she said she needed another guitar player for her country band that played all around that area and stuff. And so, and then sometimes Roy would play the drums for her, and that even at that young of an age, it just seemed like we just clicked, you know, and everything. And I liked his mother and father and everything really a lot. And anyway, one thing led to another, and I believe it was one night after a pretty wild country dance that Roy and I had sat in on his mom's band with, and we were talking, and he says, you know what? We need to do rock and roll. This country ain't making it, man, you know. And basically I said, I concur, you know, I think we should be, you know, pursuing that avenue. And so we went on and went back home and started making plans to get a hold of his older brother, J.D., and he played a little guitar, I played a little guitar, and Roy played the drums. So basically that was the beginning of the Inner Light. You know, we just formed a little band there and stuff, and we had an organist, Chuck Benson was actually our first organist, way back when. Yeah.
Well, we started out in a 4-piece band, with just Mike Stevens over there, my brother J.D., and Chuck Benson was on keyboards at that time. Is Chuck around here? Chuck played keyboards for a little bit. Hey, Chuck! How you doing, man? Chuck was later replaced by Kevin Roseland on keyboards. Back then we were doing some Creedence Clearwater, and it sounded something like this. music blows it on the hall. Down on the corner, out in the street, Willie and the Poor Boys are playing, drinking their cups at the beat. Here we go, guys. From Coca Bone, made you wear the flag, blue, the red, white, and blue. And when the band plays Hail to the Chief, ooh, they point the cannon at you. It ain't me, no, it ain't me. I ain't no senator, no. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no 49-1. Break it down now. The folks in here, don't spangle high. Blue, they'll send you down the wall. And when you ask them, how much do we give? Ooh, the only answer, more, 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 more. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no military son. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no 4-1, no. There's 37 coming out of the sky. Won't you give me down on Memphis on a midnight ride? I wanna move. I am in trouble and bad. Yeah. Well, I'm dying 'cause the land trying to get ahead. I am in trouble and bad. Woo! Well, I'm in trouble and bad. Trouble and bad. Oh, you get the bubble in my head. Well, I'm in trouble and bad. Well, I'm lying 'cause the land trying to get ahead. I am in trouble and bad. Thank you.
Mrs. Holden, how'd you get your start in music?
And my dad played fiddle. He could play anything that he ever heard, and he never forgot a melody. And that was back in the 30s, and they had food when you'd go to these parties, and my dad always played the music. So I learned to play the guitar so I could go to the parties. And I got to eat because the musicians always got to go to eat first. And that was what I wanted. I tell you, back in the Dirt Storm years, that was quite an incentive.
So it goes all the way back to the 30s.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what was your influences, your first set of songs? Can you remember your first place at?
Well, I remember trying to learn a little bit of soul by the Soul Explosion, and we couldn't figure out the notes on that because we didn't know enough on the fretting to figure out that song, but we thought it was just cool.
Now when you're feeling low and the fish won't bite, you need a little bit of soul to put you right. You gotta make like you wanna kneel and pray, and then a little
I thought I was going to be 30 before I could ever play that song. I don't know if we ever did learn it, but I thought, oh, that's the toughest song.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It was hard to do. Well, when Mom got Roy and I kind of interested in the music, because she played all the time, and she played the guitar and sang, and we'd always, when the family would get together, Mom would drag the guitar out and sing, and then somewhere along the line, she always told Roy whichever one of us learned to play the guitar would get her her guitar that her dad gave her. It was a big old Cadillac Harmony, and you could kind of hide behind that thing. And Mom told us whichever one of us learned to play the guitar first got that guitar. Well, Roy and I are not too fast, and he's writing music, and I was writing music, and we were both playing guitars, and she still had the guitar. So I think you ended up with it, though.
I eventually ended up with it.
Still got it, and she tricked us.
Yeah, it's,
I hate music. I just, no, I wanted the guitar. No.
But do you remember when they took us in to buy all that gear? We went to Engels Music, and we went in and just almost literally bought the store. We bought an old,
Yeah, for us.
for us it was, yeah.
Symbol, please.
we bought, in fact, I think we bought the identical drum set, if not the drum set that Dick Bierman had. And then we bought an old Baldwin.
It was a new Baldwin.
Oh yeah, it was a new Baldwin
New Baldwin.
bass amp because it had 2 channels on it. We could plug a microphone into each side, so we could use 2 microphones. And
Bass amp.
we had to have the striped chords. They had the guitar chords had the nice red binding on them, and we're like, oh man, those look really cool. We got to have those, and we got to have some picks. And they had sitting in Engels this old Dan Electro bass guitar that was the most ugly brown you've ever seen. They threw it in. I think they couldn't get rid of that
Yeah,
thing.
nobody would buy the thing, so they said, here. You
He
guys.
said, oh, here, if you bought the bass amp, well, we bought the bass amp to be a PA. They said, well, if you bought the bass amp, you need a bass guitar. And, I mean, we walked out of there, we were just on top of the world.
You don't know how I feel. You never know how I feel. Oh, when I needed you to come around, you always tried to leave me. Oh, but I made I love you, girl. Don't think it's alright. It's alright, girl. You've been hurting me, but it's alright.
good time. Thank you, thank you.
Some of the middle years that we had with the Interlight, JD left the band, Kevin stayed on, and you know, Don, I could have almost bet you that you had never played in the band at the same time as JD, but you and Jerry came in, and JD and Kevin were still in the band. Okay, that's when we practiced in the schoolhouse out by Mike's place. How many people here have ever been to an Interlight dance? Oh, and also, we want to thank, right out front there, Mr. Tim Yurden. He's the guy that designed our light bulb. Yeah, how about a nice round of applause for Tim?
Yes! Spanish class, man.
Well, you know that once or twice during an Interlight dance, we would slow it down and give you a chance to rub bellies together.
How many babies were born during
There we go. Yes. Tim, we've got a t-shirt for you.
Yes, definitely.
We hope the size will fit. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Love you, man.
And you're with the band? All right, we're going to give you a chance to rub bellies one more time. There's a light, a certain kind of light. It's never shone on me. Well, I want my life to be live with you, live with you. There's a way. Everybody say. And every little thing, but what good does it bring if I ain't got you? No, ain't got you. Baby, you don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't know what it's like to love somebody. Somebody the way I love you. In my brain, I see your face again. Love, my friend of mine. You ain't got to be so kind. Am I?
So then, and probably we'd been together maybe about a year by the time we did the Snow Queen contest.
Yeah.
No,
I
it
I don't think
played
it's been that long.
3.5 months.
Really?
We-
Okay.
We had been at this for 3.5 months because we started in the middle of the summer. Then we went and got the equipment, and then we played.
Okay.
About
Okay.
3.5 months.
The Snow Queen contest. Tell me about that.
That was the local Faulkton Snow Queen contest. I don't remember what song we did. I don't think I'd ever be able to remember that. But I remember we won, and
Agnes had a picture of that. 'Cause she's-
yeah,
she
yeah.
had a
There's
picture of that,
some
yeah.
file. There's a file picture somewhere, and everybody's looking at the camera, but me. I'm looking over because I wanted to see the.
I think he's looking for the chicks. No, let me. I was.
But then between the time that we won the Snow Queen contest here in Faulkton, that was going to send us to the state contest, and between that time, then Chuck Benson left the band. Oh yeah, that was one of the other things we got in Aberdeen. We got that Farfisa organ because we had to have a keyboard, and just an ugly orange. It was almost like. I mean, you could use it on a construction zone today. I mean, it was that color of orange.
But he had a good tone.
Yeah, it was a good tone. So Chuck Benson left, and we needed a keyboard player. And I don't remember how we knew Kevin Roseland, but we brought Kevin Roseland in. And when we went to the Snow Queen contest in Aberdeen, we'd worked up whatever song it was, and Kevin played the keyboards with his left hand and played trumpet at the same time. And everybody thought, "Man, that was really cool." And we won the state Snow Queen contest that year. And I remember coming back. Dwayne Stevens had, at that time they had that old Volkswagen van, and we were coming back from that contest, and it was snowing like crazy. And then what happened?
I was just thinking, I don't suppose it means anything here, but I had a Falcon and I had a 60 Ford station wagon. And then you used the good station wagon back there until we came up. Now that's all I know.
Yep.
Because you used a good Ford wagon and we had my little 62 Falcon. And that was my wagon. Well,
Yeah, and then after the Snow Queen, we started playing.
When you guys
Yeah,
really
that
got
time.
started.
You decided that you wanted to play for school dances, and we put a pin in a map, and we picked out every school within 100 miles in that 100-mile circle, and we wrote letters to all those schools, and that was how we got to playing for all the schools, and we played for every school that was in that 100-mile circle.
Or those that would have us.
And I
If
mean,
they
you
hadn't heard
played-
us,
you
then we
played
got to
for-
play.
No, you played for a lot of them. No, you
Well, then that's
kids
when we
were
got-
good from the very first. You had good rhythm, you had good harmony, and you were my kids. You better be.
Got some little pictures here of the band blown out. Are you having a good time tonight? Well, we're awful glad you came out to see us embarrass ourselves. We asked a couple of our friends that played in bands right around that era. They weren't members of the Inner Light, but they are from the Inner Light era. Over on lead guitar, my best buddy since 3rd grade, Boyce Wallane. Over on trombone, helping us with the brass, from the band Quandre, Jeff Bauer. I tell you what, how we did this was just ridiculous. JD's in Seattle, Bruce is in Arizona, Jerry's in Denver. We picked out some songs, we put them on a CD, sent them to everybody, said work on them by yourself. We got together, rehearsed for 6 hours, and here we are.
Started doing that then when Kevin came in, and then that's when
Yeah.
Jerry came in, and that's when Jerry started playing.
Well,
bass.
Jerry jammed with us Jerry, come on in here. Because you jammed with us. We were, at that time, practicing. Sit over here. We were practicing at the
Schoolhouse.
Vern Hansen. No, we moved out to the schoolhouse then, but you came in and sat in and played saxophone with us one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we were.
Tell me about it.
Watch his shirt. See his shirt? It says, I make stuff up. He's wearing the wrong shirt.
But we were practicing in the insurance building or whatever is right next to the Falk County Record
Oh,
Office.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. the
We didn't
house.
practice there very long,
Yeah.
and you came in and played some saxophone with us, and then it was a few months later. I think at the do you remember when you started with the band?
Yeah, I remember seeing the band and walking up to JD in the hallway in the school, and I says, I'm going to play bass for you guys. So, and you thought I was crazy or something. You didn't know who I was, and so.
Did I say okay?
Yeah, I don't know if you said anything.
Okay.
But anyhow, we eventually got together and started practicing. So I went up to Aberdeen, and my dad bought me a bass guitar, and I come out and joined you guys, and we started practicing. So
We were practicing in that little house back of the trailer house where
down here on.
Okay.
you went up there and practiced in that, but then we come back and we decided this house, and then
Do you remember some of the songs? I'm sorry, Emma. Do you
Well, I
some of the
remember
songs?
when we first started practicing. Was out that I was out there at Stevens's
At that
a
schoolhouse, yep.
and we were got some basic rock and roll songs ready, and we're going to Pierre for a battle of the bands. And we practiced 1 month. I remember starting about the 1st October, and we practiced 1 month. It was in a Halloween night. We went out there and we played, and there was 3 bands competing for the contest. There's
2 locals and us.
Yep. And we came in 3rd.
And the band that won, one of the songs they played was In-A-Gadda-Da Vida.
Yeah.
And we said, we got to learn that song because it's going to win us contests.
That's when you come back and start playing In-A-Gadda-Da Vida. I'm just glad there wasn't more bands, because we would have been further down the line. 6th or 7th place would have been a killer. We'd have just destroyed our careers.
no, what if we'd have been third and there was more bands?
No,
Then we
Mom,
would
we
have
was
been
last
good.
place. You don't understand. We was
Just wrote me a letter. Now I don't care how much money I gotta spend. I got to get back to my baby once again. The lonely days are gone. I'm
right, right.
Well, the one thing, and Dad alluded to it, is he would work. He had to make sure that he was home by on Friday afternoons early. He had to schedule his work, because then we'd come in after school and take his pickup, clean all of his work stuff out of it, sweep the pickup out, load the band gear in, and Mom would usually drive the truck, and it was usually me. riding
Always
it.
you.
Always me. The big boys got to ride in the cold.
Yeah. And the big boys' stories can't be told because Mom's here. And they're not going to get aired.
So there were groupies?
Yeah. We had friends, and it was always fun, and it was just like when we had practice getting this reunion going. It was just a cut ups and people making fun of each other all the time. Something always going on, and we always had a bunch of kids, and a lot of the same ones would come and follow us and do it and stuff. But when we would leave there, we was at that time old enough to drive, and there was a lot of activity that went on afterwards. Of course, Roy and Mom would go on home, and like I said, stuff like that can't be discussed. But we had a lot of fun. I mean, it was just the cutting up and the camaraderie of it, and it was just about like what we felt when we was doing the practicing and stuff.
What about the time that we took Dad's pickup for a week and went to Colorado and practiced in Grandma's garage?
Yeah, we went on a world tour to Colorado.
I think we played. Did we play in Holly? I know we played in Syracuse.
Yeah,
Was
we
that
played
our
in
only
Holly.
gig?
No, we played in Holly and Syracuse.
Okay. Loaded up. That was when it was the four of us,
Kevin and Mike and you.
and loaded us up in the back of the camper, and went 700 miles down to Holly, Colorado. Practiced in Grandpa's garage.
Met my wife.
Yes. Tell that story.
Yeah, I met my wife. Well, no, we can't. Is she going to see this? Another story we can't tell. But when we first got there, well, my grandmother and stuff lived right next door to her, and when we drove the pickup, I was going to back up and unload the stuff in the garage. Well, she come walking out there and said, "Do you want me to move some of our cars?" I said, "No, I can back this up." But she says, "Well, alrighty then." So she's kind of snooty, so I never thought we'd get together. But I found out that Grandma told her everything about me, so I had to marry her to shut her up. But that's how I met my wife on it. So I guess through the music I met my wife on it too.
Is it midnight yet?
No, it's not even 10:30. You stoned again?
I got stoned and missed it. Gonna wait till the midnight hour. That's when my love comes tumbling down. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. Oh, come on, baby, now. It's gonna happen in the midnight hour. Oh, come on now. Everybody say it's around at midnight. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, thank you.
We got it.
Judge Wapnob.
Well, what was it like preparing for this concert that just happened? And what was
This thing, when we finally decided we were going to try it, talk to Val Ramsdale on the committee, and I says, I think we can make this thing happen. And so we brought my band out from the Twin Cities to play, and that way I knew we'd have gear, and if there were any holes in the band, somebody couldn't make it, I had a bass player, had a keyboard player, a guitar player, somebody that could fill the gaps. And started calling around, and just everybody that I called just went, yeah, let's do this. And I think the time was just right, and everybody says, yeah.
And the stars were in line.
And so we went through and picked out some lists, because there were so many different versions of the band, you know, from the 4-piece to clear up to the 7-piece brass band. So we took something that kind of represented all the different areas of that, and settled on a song list and made a CD for everybody, and sent them the CD and said, you know, play it on your way to work, play it before you go to bed, just listen to the songs. We had the songs set up in the order that they were going to be done, and we tweaked them so that they were hopefully in tune with their guitars or something, and just told everybody, work on it on your own, because that's the only way we can make this happen. And then when we got here, one day before, we got together for a 6-hour grinding rehearsal, and went up there and put it on stage.
it was remarkable?
Mama was proud.
Yeah, I bet you were.
And it's the first time I heard the band play. I never went anywhere because I had to stay at home. But I actually never heard, outside of when you was practicing maybe down there, I'd come in and I'd hear the noise. You notice I said noise. And
You guys are getting,
but
let me
I
repeat
never
this. Kids, it's getting pretty late now. How much longer?
Anyway.
I remember that a lot. How much longer?
Well, I suppose I wanted to get a nap. I don't know what else. But anyway, that is about all I did. We supported the kids. They were my kids, and by God, I thought a lot of them. But their time and my time wouldn't work. And that's why Mom, and she played when she was knee-high to a grasshopper.
And they had to have white shirts and black pants.
And they had to have somebody old enough, or supposed to be old enough, to take care of these kids. And I had the most kids.
I got the short straw.
So I'm in trouble.
Well, when did you, after I left, after '69, I got out, and then the brass came in.
Well, the thing is, because
I had Don Rush.
Because Don Rush came in shortly after you came in, right, Jerry?
Yeah, about the same time.
About the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we had that band, and I don't remember exactly when you left, but I think we finished out that school year with Kevin Roseland on lead vocals, and Don and Jerry and Mike and I.
Hey, Peggy Slater, I can see you over there. I don't know where Joe Ellen is. And Joe Ellen, forgive me for not knowing your married name, but the way this whole thing came together is at the last all-school reunion, Peggy Slater and Joe Ellen Cockman came up and says, oh, there you is. You got to put the band back together. And so I called everybody, and they thought that idea didn't totally suck, so here we are. Here's one that you might remember. We hope we do too.
I'd kind of hang out with him, and if he went to band rehearsal, I'd tag along with and kind of hide in the corner and watch the guys rehearse. And sure, I helped them load out gear, and I tried to make as many gigs as possible. But I was a pretty young lad, and my parents would only let me go so far. But it was a real learning experience when I was real young there, my formative years. Watching these guys, I mean, I wanted to do it, and these guys were actually doing it. And so they were actually some of my very first early influences in Memphis. My early influences were songs that you heard on the radio. We didn't have a whole lot for record stores in Faulkland, so just listened to what was on the radio. And I was influenced by anybody that played guitar, from Chet Atkins to Jimi Hendrix. Especially people like Eric Clapton and Carlos Santana, people who played with soul. I like that. When Roy called me up and asked me if I'd be involved with this project, I was just thrilled. I really was. All these guys, like I mentioned earlier, were heavily big influences on me. And Roy, we never really played in the band together since high school. We've jammed around a little bit here and there. Mike Stevens, who was always missed opportunities with him. Neither one of us was in the same spot at the same time. Jerry just about was in a couple of bands with him. It just never worked out. So it was just, I'm very thankful, and I was very excited when Roy asked me to be a friend of, and play with the band. The rehearsals, we got together on a Sunday afternoon. I don't think I've had a more fun rehearsal. It was just a great time, a lot of laughter. I've been in a lot of rehearsals, and most of the time they're not a lot of fun, it's work. And this was work, but it was a real pleasure to be around these guys. It was a great atmosphere, and everybody was close to the top of their game as possible.
Yeah. Is this voice?
Yes,
it is. Voice, I'm sorry. Bruce Meyer. Bruce. Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been quite a while. That's right.
Well, I tell you what, I think the first thing let's do is let's go through and correct my horn charts. Like we were doing last night. Let's go through, now that we got Jeff here, let's go through the Creedence medley first, because that's just those whole notes. We'll get those corrected. And then the letter was kind of a train wreck too. I think I charted 3 of them, and so they're all going to probably be wrong. So that's what you get when the drummer writes your charts.
So Heat Wave is wrong too?
More than likely. Oh, and we, when Mike gets here, we'll check. We may change the key on Heat Wave.
Roy, can I say a couple words?
Sure.
Okay. You know, there's a time of our life that none of this would have been possible without the help of 2 wonderful people, and that's Jack and Juanita Holdren. Yes. They really made all this possible. Yes. And I just want to say thank you, Jack and Juanita. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. You're great people.
Still love her so. right. Thank you, thank you.
And by that time, we were rehearsing on the corner of, I don't know, I call it Main and Court Street. We brought in Bruce Meyer on trumpet. Don Rush went over to trombone. We brought in Lauren Roseland on trumpet, and then we brought in Kurt Bachmeyer on keys. And I think that makes our 7. And started rehearsing there on the corner. I remember one day, Bruce, you can grab a chair and pop on in here. Because you came in that year, and I think you were there that one day because we took the PA speakers and put them out front of the building and had tape music. We were playing it. People were cruising up down Main Street. We were sitting out there on lawn chairs. I remember that, and I don't know. Can we tell some of the stories that we did in the practice house? Well,
my dad's gone now, and he ain't gonna care. he was a little concerned about how we were trying to heat that old place, and his barber shop was right next door. That's after we moved to the other side, to the north side, to that old building. I think had the teen house for a while and a few things. Not the veterinary building, but across the street to the north, and that was adjacent to my dad's barber shop. And I remember him being a little concerned about how we were heating that place, and that we might end up burning down the adjacent wall of his shop. But he was pretty tolerant about it and all that. It all worked out. We did have a unique way of heating the place, as I recall. For a while, we had a propane weed burner that we would blow inside of an old milk can laying down flat. Well, that was only part of it. The heat from that was how we heated, but the prime objective was to warm up this jug of mash that was sitting on top of it, tied to a little still. And of course, we didn't want our parents to know about that.
Got somebody I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank Mr. Tim Belden, our keyboard player, filling in over here. He just got the charts like last week. Thanks, Tim. A lot of times we played 2 slow ones in a row because some of you, we got to see you from up here on the bandstand. Some of you were dancing close enough you were standing behind each other. So we'd give you a little bit longer before we bring out the fire hose.
We really felt like we had something to do with the population. We really did.
Here's Jerry Palmer for the Beatles song.
Attracts me like no other lover. Something in the way she moves. I don't want to leave. Oh, I believe in her. Somewhere smile she moves. But I don't need no other.
did Wayne Warner. One of our groupies, one of the guys that hauled all our stuff around was Wayne Warner. And it was never a dull moment with him. If you was a little nervous, a little down about going in and playing, all you had to do is just shut up, sit and wait, and Wayne would do something. He'd just crack you up. He kept us laughing constantly. And he'd always take Roy's cymbals, and he was supposed to be helping us set up. But all he'd do is stand in the damn doorway and talk to everybody, and you couldn't set up because he was supposed to be helping. And next thing you know, he would be helping carry Roy's drum, and he'd do stuff like take Roy's big cymbal and put it on his head and go walking like a Chinese. What you want? Cymbal, just crap like that.
All right, Roy. At what point did Wayne join the band?
I don't really remember. I honestly don't remember. You came in about the second year.
It was about the second year when the band first started. I had went to Mrs. H and had seen if she'd give me guitar lessons. Well, she knew right off I had a 10 ear, and it was kind of just worthless. We'll find something else for you to do, basically, is what it amounted to. And that's when I kind of come in, and the light show got put together and started hanging around.
So is that was why you joined the band? Because you couldn't play guitar? You became the light man?
I liked music, and I liked the guys that were in the band. And let's face it, the Inner Light was playing rock and roll like rock and roll was meant to be played. Small town Saturday night. And everybody had a good time at the band, and I participated in quite a few of the dances, and got involved in the light show.
Well, now they say that's what they say, that you were their light man, but people are saying that was really just a cover.
I had 3 positions that I played in the band The Inner Light. First position, of course, was to run the light show. Second position was, as it was back then, you'd have 50, 75, 100 people standing around the outside of the arena waiting for the first person to go out and dance. And like up at Leola, the band, I think, was almost halfway through the first set. And finally, I think it was Mike looked over at me, and he says, "Get something started." So I walked over and picked a gal out of the crowd that was sitting down, went out, started dancing with her, and next thing you know, the dance floor was full.
Because you always had to have somebody I call it breaking the dance floor.
Yeah.
Because everybody would stand there and it's like, I'm not going to be the first one out there. No. But you'd get one couple out there, and then the ice was broken, and then everybody could kind of, because if you go out there and you're the first one, everybody's watching you dance.
Yeah. And the third position I played in the dance, or in the band, was to find a party after the music was done. And I did a fine job of that, I believe. JD, Bruce, a couple of the other ones, remember Sweetheart's Ball at Watertown. Roy had to go home that night because Mrs. Holder knew we was up to no good. Ended up in La Bolt. I believe it was Bruce had a girlfriend there, Jeanette, and I was kind of fond of her cousin. And we went to La Bolt by way of Waugh Bay. Got totally lost. It was winter time, snowing. Try and find La Bolt. We pulled into this farmer's place. Young farmer was just getting ready to go out and milk the cows, and you got about 5, 6 drunk guys, and well, I don't know, I ain't gonna say drunk. Yeah, we were drunk. Stopped in there, asked him where La Bolt was, and he gave us the directions. And as a thank you, we gave him 6 beer rings that were all tied together in a little chain, and proceeded to La Bolt.
Kevin's going to tell him about that deal.
Yes, we, Kurt Bachmeyer, Don Rush, and I were Earl Snyder's lab assistants at the high school there in chemistry class or whatever, and somehow we figured out a certain chemical that kind of glows in the black lights. We had, black lights was real hot back then, and Juanita had us with our white shirts and vests and all that, and everything would glow in the black light, and somehow we found this chemical that glowed real nice bright green, and shortly after we got these black lights going and everything, we were practicing one night. I don't remember the exact details, but we ended up painting Wayne with kind of war paint symbols all over the stuff that would glow in the dark, and he got out there on stage and was dancing all around to this crazy Arthur Brown song about fire or something. And Earl Snyder, the chemistry teacher, was a little bit worried afterwards when he found this out, because he wasn't real sure what we painted on Wayne, or whether it was very healthy or not. But that was one of a few things. I remember putting together a little box with some light dimmer switches in it to run our crude little light boxes that we had, and Wayne, being our roadie, he was kind of the light guy too, and he liked to play with those things, but he was awful rough on those dimmer switches. He was always beating them around and all that. Another thing we had that I was kind of one of the gadgeteers there for a while. We had a homemade strobe light that was not an electronic photo flashlight. It was a big box with a floodlight in it, and a big disc in front of it, a little hole, and that would spin with an electric, with an old sewing machine motor. We get that thing spinning up, and that was our strobe light. We thought that was so cool.
It worked cool.
But it was about a 3-foot square box. We were hauling this great big box around, but really didn't add much to the sound at all.
You were supposed to turn on. You're supposed to get the wheel going first, and then turn on the light. And I don't know how many times Wayne turned on the light and wouldn't have the thing going.
Yeah, it
and
got
about
slow
set
to
the
wind
plywood.
up. Yeah, then smoke would start coming out, and everybody's starting to panic on the stage. And then if you turn it on, then of course I was going to fan the flames. Come to think of it, I think Wayne was more trouble than he's worth. Did anybody pay him?
Yeah,
I hope not.
he got paid a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember discussing that a little bit among all of us, and for some reason we concluded that he was worth a certain amount, and so there he stayed.
Well, after thinking about it, I think we ought to go demand our money back.
All right, now as Lightman, were you involved in actually creating this wonderful light system they talk about?
Most of it was done by Bruce Meyer. He put a lot of it together. I assisted. The Maytag motor and the big light box that made our strobe light. We were proud.
And that was it. Now they were talking about not the Lightman not actually performing his duties properly on an occasion or two.
Because it seemed to me that one you had to turn the motor on and then turn the light on, and if you turn the light on without turning the motor on,
You'd burn the bulb out.
you burn the wood up.
So you turn the motor on, and occasionally it wouldn't start turning, so you'd have to walk up, get it started, and then you'd wait till it got up to speed, and then you'd flip the light on. Modern technology.
But one thing I do remember a lot about when the brass came in and so on, that Juanita was not real enthused about all this. This kind of changed things, you know. She was used to all the strings and everything. And of course, us guys, we were just kids, and you know, a lot of times we were way out of tune and hitting wrong notes and so on. She was a little bit concerned about how this was all going to work out. but I jumped at the chance to play in the group because I knew I'd always be practicing up in the band room playing Tijuana brass stuff and all that, and there wasn't a whole lot of rock songs and everything with brass in it. So until Blood, Sweat and Tears in Chicago were starting to come out there, and there was an opportunity to play some new stuff on the instrument that I knew, so I jumped at the chance, and it was great.
Whose idea was it to bring the brass in?
Yeah, I think it was Mike. Mike kind of pushed the idea, and
I think he liked Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, and he liked.
Well,
he
saw. I think he
fan.
saw the Flippers, because the Fabulous Flippers were out about that time, and
Jeff was talking about.
Yeah, and David Clayton Thomas, the lead singer with Blood, Sweat and Tears, was kind of an idol of Mike's. He had the raspy voice and all that, and you know, Mike liked to do some of his songs. That was somewhat an influence too, as I recall. But I was just lucky that I was one of them that got chosen to do it, and it was great.
well, one of the reasons we chose you is because your dad had a Buick. What was that? A 230. I mean, it was a
Big one.
Huge band mobile.
Yeah, big aircraft
You
carrier.
could put 7 people in that
That's
thing.
right.
And between that and the truck we had.
Now back then, talent didn't count. What do you have to offer the band?
No, I do have to say something about that, the way that Dwayne and Agnes would let us take the red and white VW van, their only family vehicle for all 11 of them.
Oh.
And we'd go out on the road with that.
And we would moon people.
Yeah, Dad would let me take that big old Buick, the only car we had, and of course Jack and Juanita letting us go with all this stuff. It wasn't like we were totally unsupervised, but they had to put a lot of faith in us to be able to, go out there and not destroy things. Because some of those road trips were quite the experiences, as I recall.
And it got to be just like this weird fellowship, because I remember we were going to play the prom in Java, and we all walked in step singing Java, 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 Jing, Jing, Jing.
And you guys still got the play?
Yep.
Remember when I made the sparkly jackets for you?
Yeah, the best.
We
Yes.
wanted that put on a show. We had our good black pants and those sparkly jackets and white shirts, man.
And we couldn't find. We got found the shiny material up in Aberdeen, and they figured out how much material was available and how many jackets they needed, and there wasn't enough of the multicolored sparkly material, but there was some silver, and so there was one silver jacket, and that was like the lead singer's jacket.
Liberace would have been.
I still got those jackets in my little closet in there. Because I never threw anything away.
Yeah, and there was some special occasion we were going to use the jackets for, because
No, it was something special.
because I mean, Agnes Stevens was in on the sewing on the thing, and because I remember you guys were like rushing like crazy for us to have these jackets but I don't remember what the occasion was.
It was a Watertown business school. We wore it
Okay,
over there.
okay, so that picture was the first time we wore the jacket. Okay.
It was in Watertown.
Okay.
What year is that, Jerry? Since you got a great memory.
Now for something on the softer side.
station. Blackroom country, no gold pavements, tired starting. Silver horses, run down movies in your dark eyes. Dark smile on you leaving my contentment.
Boyce Wally.
Okay, let's fast forward to what was it like when you got up on stage? Was last night?
it was. Everybody was like really nervous. I mean, because we didn't know if this thing was going to fall on its face or what. And it's like we hit the intro and you could kind of feel the crowd going, okay, hey, this isn't too bad. And the brass started in once we got into the recognizable part of does anybody really know what time it was? I mean, I could feel a chill go up my spine, and you could just almost feel it go through the audience. Everybody's going, yeah, we're back. That was
something. It really was.
Yeah, when we was backstage and everybody was getting their stuff and grabbing the guitars and trying to get set up, you could tell how nervous everybody was. And we just kept saying, it doesn't matter how we sound, you know, we're going to have fun. We're just going to have fun doing this and stuff. And we looked back over at Don and we smiled, and I told Don, I says, we got to grab this. This is only going to last about 30 minutes. And then we're out of here, and we just laughed. And when we went up, and like Roy said, the anticipation of getting it started and went back off, and when you hit that first chord, the crowd just erupted. And I had never felt that rush like that. And after that, you kind of slowed me down for nothing. I mean, the hype, I mean, the adrenaline was nuts.
Yeah, that was something else.
Yeah, and just watching the reaction of the people, I was expecting tomatoes and beer cans thrown, you know, but it was, what a response. It was.
Yeah, and the crowd just kept building and moving up closer and closer, and that was something else. Yeah. And the expectation for it, everybody around town was talking about this, the Interlights getting back together and everything. And, so, you know, there was a little bit of pressure from that, because I wasn't too sure it would go over very good either, you know. But everybody that I talked to kept saying, "Oh, we're looking so forward to this. We don't care how you guys sound. It's going to be great." Well, maybe it didn't sound all that good, but it was great. They liked it. Yeah, that was something else. It really was.
Let's hear from the quiet bass guitar player. What was it for you?
You're going to be doing good.
Well, it was exciting to get back together with the band again, and you know, getting up on stage again and playing. You know, I hadn't played bass for about 15 years, and I had to do a little woodshedding and get back into practice again. But you know, once that crowd started getting excited, we were all, you know, we're feeding off that energy, and then we started working on building that energy, you know, while we were playing, and try to get, you know, get a good rhythm going so that they really respond to us, and that seemed to happen.
He didn't miss a beat though, Jerry. He was tight with this. You could tell he had practiced and he was ready for it. And of course, Roy was the one that really kept it all together and really held us together.
All I kept thinking through the whole thing is don't rush the tempos, because I was sitting there, I was going, yeah, man, this is really working. And I mean, if I would have let go on that thing, we would have.
Yes, we would have rushed it along with you.
Oh, I
lost
guess.
it.
Yeah. All the time playing, I'd never seen the crowd reaction like that. When I called my wife and told her, because she kept telling me, when Roy called me and told me, he says, "You're going to do this, so start practicing. I don't want to hear about it, just start practicing." I hadn't played my guitar for over 10 years. So Roy sends this CD to me. I'm in there listening to it, trying to play the riff. Then my wife walks into the bedroom and says, "Oh dear." She turns around and walks back out. So I was practicing right up to the time when I got on the plane to come, and I thought, "Oh, this is not good. It's not good." So as soon as I got there, and I told Roy, "As soon as you get here, I got to go practice. We got to practice. I need practice." And Roy says, "Come on, it'll be all right." Just, you know, and he just kept on talking to us and telling everybody that we could do this. And it wasn't, you know, he said, "Don't worry about how you're going to sound. They're going to hear it through the memories," you know. And I never grasped what he was saying all that time until we started playing. And then the people just erupted. And the girls come back up when we was talking to them later and said, "I told you I was in it for the chicks." And when they come up and talk to me later, they'd go back off and say, "Man, I just felt like I was, you know, 18 again." And Roy says, "Yeah, I felt like I was 13.
Are you having a good time tonight? We're having a good time. We're up here sweating like Bush at a spelling bee. I tell you what, man, it's hot up here.
enjoyed this about half as much as we've enjoyed putting it together. This has been an absolute ball. It's wonderful to see this many people show up that remember the band. We had a good time back then. We're having a great time now. We hope you have a good time tonight.
And I think's neat they stayed.
One more time, we'd like to introduce the band. Over on keyboards, we got Mr. Tim Belden sitting in with us this evening. How about a nice round of applause for Tim? Next to him on guitar and vocals, my brother, the Seattle superstar, J.D. Holdren. Standing next to J.D., the South Dakota surfer, Mike Stevens. Next to Mike, on guitar, part of our guitar army over there, the South Dakota string bender, Mr. Boyce Wallin. Over to my left, to your right, the madman on the 4-string, the Denver Dynamo, Mr. J.P. Jerry Palmer. Next to him on trumpet, he's from Iowa, folks, Don Rush. Standing next to him on trumpet, from Charupia, Arizona, the 7th wonder of Arizona, Mr. Bruce Meyer. Over on trombone and guiding the brass section, the St. Paul Saint, Mr. Jeff Bauer. I'm the Fulton Flasher, Roy Holdren. Flash, Roy Holdren. We hope you had a good time. We're going to leave you with this. Oh, did I miss one?
Think of the right words to say when not just you. I feel 1,000 different feelings, color of chills all over my body. And when I feel that I quickly try which one?
tell them when you called Susan after the gig.
Oh yeah, I called my wife and told her about it, and I got to talking, and she goes, and I'd get to talking so fast, and I hadn't slept anyway because I was still so pumped up. I went to bed at 3, helped Roy load the stuff up, and 5 o'clock I was still laying there, and going through, of course, critiquing everything that I did wrong. And I said, well, what if they heard that? And I said, well, I couldn't hear that, so how could they hear it? And it was really neat. I got to talking to my wife. I got talking so fast, I said, honey, slow down. Wait. And you know, she didn't tell me to shut up. She just told me, wait, slow down. So I had to start trying to slow it down. I says, honey, we got a standing ovation from the time we struck the first chord, which I wasn't lying because everybody was standing up.
Yeah, now if they were leaving at the same time, then it'd be a combination ovation.
Yeah, it was good. So she was really happy for me. I really wish she could have been there and experienced it with me and stuff. But she's really supportive of having me go, and just the crowd reaction and everybody's response to it, and how they just tell us how, you know, that we was good. We was movie stars for 15 minutes, you know, and everybody would take our picture and stuff. I think that's how you would feel to be really, really successful at it, you know. And I felt like that's what we were at that night. Last night was a success for my part because I didn't pass out. After the first song, I was hyperventilating, so then I said, I need a bag. it was a hoot.
And nobody in the crowd asked, honey,
No.
what you love?
Nothing.
How about Mrs. Holder? How'd you feel? And speak a little bit up so I can hear
sat there
you.
and cried. I couldn't help but cry. But there was something I was really proud of.
And I even got her to get up and dance. Lady come along and grabbed me in one hand and Mom in the other, drug us up there in front of your band, and I had the wrong shoes on. We had done a little chicken trap. But she's the one.
There's nothing like standing back and watching your kid succeed at something. It's indescribable. You can't put words to it. But I was really I'm sorry.
I didn't think Mom would be so proud of me just wanting to get chicks.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Customer, you know that my dream would be you. I'm doing everything I can to make my dreams come true. Dreamers, they say, can't face life day to day, but I know day to day my love for you's growing stronger. Chance per million, you know that I'd wait in line to love you, to hold you, to have you near all the time. I know there'll be times you'll want yours, I'll want mine, but if you are the ocean and I am the sea, can't we find a place to meet But if you are the ocean and I am the sea, can't we find a place to meet? If there's one dream per customer, you know that my dream would be you. I'm doing everything I can to make my dreams come true. Dreamers, they say, can't face life day to day, but I know that day to day my love for you's growing stronger. If there's one dream per customer, if there's one dream per customer, if there's one dream per customer, if there's one dream per customer,